I'm about to turn this boring detective cliche, which you all know, like a skeptical, burned out detective who has to solve a bizarre, seemingly supernatural case. That's a pretty common trope within fiction and in screenwriting. But I'm going to turn that into an unforgettable character that will leap off the page. And I'm going to do it in less than 15 minutes with AI. And we're not going to lose your voice either in the midst of this, which is one of the challenges of using AI. So we've created Mac. He's a burned out detective whose psychological need to impose moral order on chaos makes him both brilliant at solving problems and completely unprepared for mysteries that don't have satisfying human villains. So which character would you rather write? Which one do you think the audience would remember? Now I'm going to show you exactly how you yourself can do this using a simple 3-step process. So here's the thing. Flat, forgettable characters can kill good scripts. You can have an amazing plot, incredible world building, but if your characters feel like cardboard cutouts, the whole story simply crumbles. And if you're a beginning screenwriter, you've probably felt this frustration before. Now you probably spent hours, I spent days on characters before to make the characters feel real, but they all end up sounding like, well, sort of like us, right? They're predictable, they're one-dimensional, and they serve the plot instead of driving it. But what if you had a brainstorming partner that's available 24/7? Somebody who could help you dig into the psychology of your character and uncover hidden gems that make them unforgettable and unique. And that's exactly what we're going to do today with Claude AI. Now, I want to be clear. This isn't about letting AI do all the work for you. This is about having a creative partner to help amplify your own voice and discover the depths in your characters you might not have found just by doing this on your own. I'm going to walk you through the 3-step process, and by the end, you'll have a character so rich and complex that you'll be excited to start that first scene. Are you excited? Well, let's jump on to Claude and we'll get her going. Well, the first mistake most people make with AI is being too vague. If you ask it to create a character, you'll get generic results. Instead, we need to give Claude a specific job and clear instructions. And here is my first prompt, which you'll see right here. You are an expert character development coach who specializes in creating depth, 3-dimensional characters for crime films and TV shows. Your goal is to help move beyond cliches and build a truly memorable protagonist. Here is the basic concept. Now, the neat thing about this particular prompt is you need to put in what you want in terms of the character that you know. What's the character that you're working with? In this particular case, we're just using a very tired trope of a skeptical, burned out detective for this particular thing. But here is what I want you to think about as we look at these results for this, is you can really tailor make it for yourself. And so just don't always accept what the AI gives you right away. But for this one, we are. But for this one, just gives you the power to show you, and hopefully this will help you iterate off of what you like from this first example here. Now, based on this concept, please generate a foundational character profile. Give me a name, age, physical appearance, and a few core personality traits. And like I said, you can take a look at this. We get Detective Mac Okafor. Now, Mac is a tall, lean Nigerian American with graying temples and calloused hands from his weekend hobby of furniture restoration. I would never have thought about doing that for a detective. I also like that he wears wire rim reading glasses that he's constantly adjusts when thinking. He has a habit of rolling up his sleeves, even in formal situations. So like I said, it gives us a little bit more detail than what we would typically think of a detective. So far, so good. And the nice thing, too, is we get to see some core personality traits for our detective. He's methodical, optimist, turned cynic, which basically, unlike the typical hard-drinking detective, Mac's burnout stems from being too thorough. That also goes along with him being a compulsive teacher and pattern addiction. He's addicted to patterns. He sees connections everywhere in the case files and the way people walk and the arrangement of objects in the room. So the last thing he has is a secret sentimentality. Despite his cynicism about justice, Mac keeps every thank you note from victims' family and remembers the names of every victim he worked for. I think that's, like I said, it's cool. This takes it a lot away from that typical trope that we see. Now, the cool thing here, let's say you didn't like that. Well, what you could go back through is reprompt Claude to say, okay, could you regenerate this again for me? Or, hey, I like the first 3. Can you give me something different for the last one? So the thing with this is, again, for this, for our purposes today, I just want to show you how this works. But for you with your creativity, if this doesn't match what you have in your mind for a character, or this is not compelling, change it. Keep working on it. Who is this character that you want? These things today are going to hopefully cause you to come up with some sparks for ideas and help you iterate on this. So again, if you don't like what you see the first time around, change or have it regenerated again. You can change how you want to describe the character to begin with. So So the big thing out of this is keep working on it. Now, a character isn't truly alive until they have a compelling flaw that directly is connected to their motivation. This is what drives their decisions and makes audience connect with them. So here's where we dive a little deeper. So here's the next prompt. Based on the profile of Detective Mac, I want you to do the following. Identify a single powerful flaw for him. This flaw should be the root of his burned out state. Don't just make it a simple addiction or bad temper. Make it something deeply psychological. And because like I said, the trope is they're addicted to alcohol or drugs or something along those lines. And connect this flaw directly to his primary motivation as a detective. Why does he keep doing a job that has clearly broken him? His motivation should be a direct consequence or coping mechanism for this flaw. And finally, explain how this internal conflict would manifest in his behavior on this new supernatural case. Or, like I said, whatever sort of situation they're going into again. So Mac's core flaw is a pathological need for moral certainty. So it doesn't stem from seeing too much violence or corruption. It comes from his psychological inability to exist in a moral ambiguity. Mac is desperate to understand why and who was to blame. So I think that's an interesting take on this detective. So the second part is his motivation, the pursuit of definite truth. Mac stays in the detective world because each case offers a possibility of achieving what his personal life could never, absolute moral clarity. Every solved case is a small victory against the chaos that destroys his sense of security as a child. He's not seeking justice in the abstract. He's seeking proof that the universe has rules, that actions have clear consequences, and that someone can always be held accountable. You see how that sort of fleshes in with the previous one with this core psychological flaw. And then the interesting thing is how this manifests in this supernatural case. His behavior will become increasingly frantic as he refuses to consider supernatural explanations even when evidence mounts. He becomes obsessed with finding human perpetrators to blame, even manufacturing connections that aren't there. Experiences genuine panic attacks when confronted with events that have no clear moral dimension, and paradoxically becomes more thorough in his documentation, as if perfect procedure can force reality to make sense. Now we have a character whose internal conflict will directly drive the plot forward. Every scene he's in will be charged with this type of tension. Now we have the profile and the psychology. But what does this guy actually sound like? And to find out, this is the cool thing about AI. We're going to use my favorite technique, the character interview. I'm going to ask Claude to stop being a writing assistant and become Mac. Claude is great at staying in character once you set it up properly. So let's take a look at our next prompt here. So now I want you to fully embody this character. You're no longer an assistant AI. You are Mac. I am the writer. I'm going to ask you a few questions to get to know you. Answer them from your perspective in your voice, showing your personality traits and psychology. So the first question I'm going to ask him is about the case. I'm going to say, what would you want to accept in this first case? It sounds like a circus, something too scary for most ordinary detectives. I mean, what do you think that there might be a ghost involved? Now, here's the cool thing. As we look at the response, we already can look at the stuff that the AI sort of talked about. This is Mac has these glasses. What does he do? What's the first thing he does? He adjusts his glasses, looks down at his case file, and back up. And you can just sort of hear his voice, a circus. Look, I've been doing this for 22 years and I've learned something. There's no such thing as a ghost case, only lazy detective work. What you're calling supernatural is just a puzzle that no one's taken the time to solve properly. And again, like I said, you see the mannerisms in this. And I think this is so cool. Like I said, just the way that you hear his voice going through. And it's just so neat. And here's the cool thing. We don't just have to stop with one question. Let's give him another question here. And I'm going to say, hey, how do you feel about your new partner, Officer Dennis Murphy? He's new from the downtown office, but he likes to talk about spooks and goblins. How does that rub you? That first line is just so cool. Long exhale, removes glasses, and cleans them deliberately controlled movements. Again, this sounds just like Mac. We just created it. And it's just a cool character moment. Murphy puts his glasses back on. Like I said, that just sounds so neat. And we'll read the next part here. Look, the kid's enthusiastic. I'll give him that. Fresh out of the town where they probably handled noise complaints and parking violations. Now he's talking about energy readings and asking if he ever felt a presence at a crime scene. Drums fingers on a desk. Yesterday, he asked me if I thought we should bring an EMF detector to the scene. An EMF detector. Like we're some cable TV ghost hunters instead of sworn officers investigating what is most likely a homicide. Here's the neat thing. In just 2 questions, we've established his worldview, his voice, instead of conflict with his partner. We could keep this interview going for hours, exploring his childhood, his regrets, his habits, building an incredibly rich character. This is just so awesome. So let's see what we've accomplished. We started with the general concept of a skeptical, burned out detective who had to solve a bizarre, seemingly supernatural case. And just 15 minutes later, we have this. And what this is a character profile for Mac. So I just asked Claude to give me a character profile, and it gives us some real easy stuff. It gives us the basics, sort of what he looks like, the fatal flaw, his drive, the key traits, the conflict, and in one sentence, what he is like. This is so neat. Now, which character are you going to remember? Which one is going to drive a compelling story? I don't think it's even close. Now, what we've done here is use AI not as a replacement for our creativity, but as a catalyst for it. We have used it to ask better questions, forge connections we might have missed, and explore a character's psychology in a structured way. Now, the goal isn't to automate our storytelling, it's to give our imaginations a turbo boost. By partnering with AI like this, we can build characters as complex and unforgettable as real people. And here's my challenge to you. Take a character you've been struggling with and try this 3-step approach. I put in all the prompts you can use below, right in the description. Copy them, try them out with your own characters, and then come back to me and tell me what you discovered in the comment section below. I'm really excited to see what kind of characters you can create. And if this helped you, hit the like button below and subscribe for more screenwriting tutorials that will take your scripts to the next level. Till the next video, live well and write well.